The radio dish moved slowly across the dark sky, listening for sounds from space. Dr. Helen Martinez sat in front of 3 computer screens in the control room. She had been working at the Deep Space Station for 6 years. Most nights were quiet. Most nights brought nothing but empty static from the cold void. Between stars tonight was different. The computers started beeping at 11:47 p.m. Helen looked up from her coffee, saw strange patterns dancing across her screens. The signal was strong, too strong to be natural space noise. Her hands moved quickly over the keyboard as she tried to lock onto the source. Jake Thompson heard the noise from the next room and rushed in. He was the best communications expert. His job was to make sense of signals that came from other worlds. "What do you have?" Jake asked, pulling up a chair next to Helen. "Something big," Helen said, her eyes never leaving the screen. "This is not from our solar system. The signal is repeating every 37 seconds. It has structure. It has purpose." Jake plugged in his headphones and listened. The sound was unlike anything they had heard before. It was not the random pops and hisses of dying stars. This had rhythm. This had meaning. "It sounds like music," Jake said after a few minutes. "But sad music? Like someone crying?" Helen nodded. She had the same feeling. The signal felt desperate. It felt like a call for help. They worked through the night. By morning, they had isolated different parts of the transmission. Some parts seemed to be numbers. Other parts looked like star maps. The most important part came at the end of each repeat. It was the same pattern over and over. "Universal distress code," Jake said, pointing at his screen. 3 long, 3 short, 3 long. SOS in any language. Helen felt her heart beat faster. This was first contact. This was the moment humans had dreamed about for hundreds of years. But it was not a greeting. It was a cry for help. She picked up the red phone on her desk. It connected directly to military command. "This is Dr. Martinez at Deep Space Station Alpha. I need to speak with Admiral Kane immediately. We have an alien." Distress signal. The phone was quiet for 10 seconds. Then a woman's voice came through. "Dr. Martinez, this is Admiral Lisa Kane. Are you certain about what you found?" "Yes, Admiral. The signal has been transmitting for at least 6 hours. We have decoded parts of it. Someone out there needs help. Send me everything you have. We'll be there in 2 hours." Admiral Kane arrived with a team of experts and 2 black cars full of security guards. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had been in charge of Earth's space defense for 8 years. Helen and Jake showed her the decoded message. It told a terrible story. The signal came from beings who called themselves the Valthani. They lived on ships in space, traveling between star systems to trade goods and share knowledge. They had never built weapons. They had never fought wars. Their ships were built for peace. 3 weeks ago, the Korthak Empire had found them. The Korthak were hunters. They traveled from world to world, taking what they wanted. They captured other species and made them into slaves. The Valthani were perfect victims. They were weak. They could not fight back. The message contained star charts showing where the attack had happened. It was near a system humans called Kepler 442, about 1,200 light-years from Earth. The Valthani ships had been destroyed or captured. Thousands of peaceful beings were now prisoners, but the most shocking part came at the TSR end of the message. The Valthani knew about Earth. Their long-range sensors had detected human radio signals decades ago. They knew humans lived on what they called a death world. They knew any species that could survive on such a dangerous planet would be strong fighters. They were begging the humans to save them. Admiral Kane read the full translation twice. Then she stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the morning sky for a long time. "How long would it take our fastest ships to reach them?" she asked. 18 days using quantum drive," Jake answered. "But Admiral, we do not know if any Valthani are still alive." Helen pointed to another part of the message. "This section here shows they have escape pods scattered in the asteroid fields. Some are still transmitting. Some of them made it out." "Admiral." Kane nodded. She picked up her secure phone and dialed a number. "Mr. President, this is Kane. We have a situation that requires immediate attention. I am sending you a file. Read it and call me back in 10 minutes. The wait felt like hours. When the phone rang, President Nathan Clark was on the line. "Admiral, are you telling me that aliens are asking us to fight a war?" "Yes, sir. A war against slave traders and killers. The victims are peaceful beings who have never hurt anyone. Do you recommend?" Admiral Kane looked at the message one more time. She thought about the human ships waiting in orbit. She thought about the crews who had trained their whole lives for this moment. "We launch immediately, sir." "We send everything we have?" "Approved. How soon can you be ready?" "The Retribution, Vengeance, and Salvation can launch in 6 hours. Rodriguez is already preparing his crew. Then go. Bring our people home safe, and make sure those slave traders know what happens when they mess with our friends." Admiral Kane hung up the phone and turned to Helen and Jake. "You two just changed human history. We are no longer alone in the universe, and we are about to show the galaxy what Earth is capable of." 6 hours later, 3 of humanity's most powerful warships left Earth orbit. They carried the finest weapons humans had ever built. They carried soldiers trained in the hardest schools. On the most dangerous world in known space, the Korthok Empire was about to learn why Earth was called a death world. The 3 warships moved through space like giant metal sharks. Captain Alex Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Retribution and watched the stars stretch into lines as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. This was the longest journey any human ship had ever made. They were traveling 1,200 light-years in 18 days. The quantum drives pushed the ships to their limits. Rodriguez was 42 years old and had been commanding ships for 15 years. He had never expected to lead humanity's first war against aliens. But he was ready. His crew was ready. 3 ships carried Earth's best soldiers and most deadly weapons. "Captain, we are maintaining speed," said Lieutenant Sarah Beck from the navigation station. "All systems are running smooth. The Vengeance and Salvation are keeping formation." Rodriguez nodded. He looked at the main screen showing their path through space. 18 days to reach the Kepler system. 18 days to prepare for a fight. Against an enemy they had never seen in the science lab. Dr. Martin Hayes studied everything they knew about the aliens. He was a thin man with thick glasses who had spent his life learning about life forms on other worlds. Now he was studying actual aliens instead of just theories. "The Valthani are fascinating," he told his team. "Look at these biological readings. From their distress signal, they evolved from plant-like creatures. They have 4 arms and their bones are made of something like crystal. They communicate using musical tones." His assistant, Dr. Amy Chen, looked at the data on her screen. "They seem so fragile. Their bone density is much lower than humans. Their muscle mass is minimal. How did they ever survive long enough to build spaceships?" "They did not need to survive the way we did," Hayes explained. "Their homeworld had no predators, no natural disasters, no competition for food. They evolved in paradise. That is why they never learned to fight. The Korthok were the opposite. The data from the Valthani signal showed a species built for hunting. They were reptilian creatures with thick scales, powerful muscles, and sharp teeth. They had conquered 12 star systems in the past 50 years. They took prisoners from peaceful worlds and turned them into workers through brain implants. Communications. Officer Lisa Park spent her days trying to reach any surviving Valthani. She sent messages on the frequencies they used, hoping someone would answer. On the 5th day of the journey, she got a response. The voice that came through the speakers was weak and scared. It sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Lisa had studied the Valthani language files for days to understand it. "This is Keleve of the Valthani trading vessel Morningsong. Are you the Deathworld beings? Are you really coming to help us?" Lisa looked at Captain Rodriguez, who had rushed to the communications station. He nodded for her to respond. "This is the human warship Retribution. We received your distress signal. We're 18 days away from your position. How many of you are still free?" The response took several minutes. When it came, the voice was even weaker. 17 ships escaped the first attack. We are hiding in the asteroid field near the 4th planet. The Korthok have hunting parties searching for us. They capture 3 or 4 of our people every day. They take them to the processing stations. What are processing stations? Rodriguez asked. Places where they put metal devices in our heads. The devices control our thoughts. They make us into slaves who cannot resist. Captain, they have taken over 6,000 of our people. They are turning them into workers who will never be free again. Rodriguez felt anger burn in his chest. He had read about slavery in human history books. He had never thought he would. See it among the stars, Kilove. You need to stay hidden. We'll be there soon. Can you tell us about Korthok ships and weapons? They have many ships. Big ships, with heavy armor and powerful guns. They use fear as a weapon. They broadcast images of torture to make enemies surrender without fighting. Captain, they do not know about war the way your species does. They are used to hunting weak prey. Lisa saved the conversation and played it for the other ship captains. Captain Jennifer Stone of the Vengeance and Captain Mike Foster of the Salvation joined the meeting through video link. What do you think? Rodriguez asked them. They sound like bullies, Stone said. Bullies who have never faced real fighters, Foster agreed. Their ships are built to scare peaceful traders. Our ships are built to fight other warships. There is a big difference. Over the next week, more Valthani survivors made contact. Each conversation told the same story. The Korthok attacked without warning. They destroyed ships that tried to run and captured ships that surrendered. They showed no mercy to children or elderly Valthani, but they also learned something important. The Korthok had never fought a species like humans. All their previous victories had been against peaceful beings who gave up quickly. They used intimidation more than actual combat skill. On day 12 of the journey, the Korthok sent their own message. It came on all frequencies, making sure the human ships would receive it. The voice was deep and harsh, like rocks grinding together. Human vessels. This is War Master Thek of the Korthok Conquest Fleet. You are entering territory claimed by the Korthok Empire. Turn back now, or you will share the fate of the Plant Eaters. The message included video files showing Korthok torture methods. It showed Valthani prisoners being fitted with control implants. It showed the inside of slave processing stations where hundreds of captives waited in cages. Rodriguez watched the videos with his senior officers. Colonel Danny Wright, the Marine commander, had to leave the room twice. Even these hardened soldiers were shocked by the cruelty. They want us to be afraid, Rodriguez said when the video ended. They think showing us their worst acts will make us run away? Do they know anything about human history? Asked Colonel Wright. Do they know what happens when humans see innocent people being hurt? Rodriguez smiled for the first time in days. It was not a friendly smile. No, Colonel, I do. Not think they understand humans at all. He ordered Lisa to prepare a response message. It would be short and simple. War Master Thek, this is Captain Rodriguez of the human vessel Retribution. We have received your message and your videos. We are not turning back. We will see you soon. The message was sent on all frequencies. Every Korthok ship in the system would hear it. Every Valthani survivor would hear it too. 6 days later, human fleet dropped out of quantum drive at the edge of the Kepler system. Long-range sensors immediately detected dozens of ships. Some were Korthok warships. Others were Valthani survivors still hiding in the asteroids. All ships, battle stations, Rodriguez announced. This is what we came here to do. The human ships moved slowly into the Kepler system like wolves entering a strange forest. Captain Rodriguez stood at the command center of the Retribution, watching his screens fill with data. Chief Science Officer Amanda Foster worked beside him, mapping every ship and space station in the system. Captain, I count 23 Korthok vessels, Foster reported. Most are gathered around the third planet. That appears to be their main base. I also detect 3 large processing stations in orbit. Tactical analyst Ryan Cooper pulled up detailed scans on his screen. The Korthok ships are bigger than ours, but they look slow. Heavy armor, massive guns, built like flying fortresses. They are designed to scare enemies into giving up. Rodriguez nodded. Human military doctrine was different. Earth ships were built for speed and precision. They could hit hard and move fast. The Korthok ships looked like they had never faced an enemy that would fight back. What about the Valthani survivors? Rodriguez asked. 17 small ships hiding in the asteroid belt around the fourth planet, Foster answered. They are staying quiet, trying not to be detected. But Captain, I am picking up Korthok patrol ships moving toward their position. Rodriguez felt his jaw tighten. The Korthok were still hunting the survivors. Even now, with human warships entering their system, they continued their cruel game. Distance to the Korthok patrol ships: 47 million kilometers. 6 ships, medium size, moving in formation, toward the asteroid field. Rodriguez made his decision quickly. All ships, this is Rodriguez. We engage the patrol squadron first. Show them what they are dealing with. The 3 human ships changed course and accelerated toward the Korthok patrol. The enemy ships detected them immediately and sent a message. Human vessels, you are ordered to surrender. Heave to and prepare to be boarded. Your crews will be processed, and your ships will be added to our fleet. Rodriguez almost laughed. These aliens had no idea what they were facing. They thought 3 small human ships would just give up against 6 larger Korthok vessels. Lieutenant Beck, take us to attack speed. All weapons ready. Retribution, Vengeance, and Salvation moved into attack formation. The human ships were only half the size of the Korthok vessels, but they moved like dancers. The Korthok ships were slow and clumsy in comparison. Enemy ships are charging weapons, Cooper reported. They are moving to surround us. Let them try, Rodriguez said. Fire when ready. The first human salvo shocked the Korthok patrol. The Earth ships used focused energy beams that cut through Korthok armor like hot knives through butter. The enemy had expected a long battle with heavy weapons. Instead, they faced surgical strikes that hit their weak points with deadly accuracy. The lead Korthok ship tried to ram the Retribution. Rodriguez ordered evasive maneuvers, and his ship danced away from the clumsy attack. The Vengeance and Salvation moved to flank the enemy ships, hitting them from 2 sides at once. In 6 minutes, the fight was over. 4 Korthok ships were destroyed. 2 others were heavily damaged and trying to escape. The human ships had not taken a single hit. Pursuit course, Rodriguez ordered. Do not let them report back to their fleet. The damaged Korthok ships were slow and easy targets. The human ships caught them before they could reach their base and finished them quickly. 6 enemy ships destroyed, 0 human losses, but the victory came with a cost. The main Korthok fleet had detected the battle. 23 ships were now moving toward the human position. War Master Thek sent another message. Deathworld scum, you have made a grave error. We will capture your crews and make them suffer for cycles before we allow them to die. Your ships will be melted down and turned into chains for our slaves. Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. 23 ships against 3. The odds were not good, but they were not impossible either. Human warships had often faced overwhelming numbers and won through superior tactics. All ships prepare for fleet engagement. We are going to show these hunters what real predators look like. The Korthok fleet moved in a straight line toward the human ships. It was a formation designed to intimidate enemies and demonstrate superior numbers. Against the peaceful Valthani, it had worked perfectly. Against humans, it was a mistake. Rodriguez split his fleet. The Retribution would attack from the front, drawing Korthok attention. The Vengeance and Salvation would circle around and hit the enemy from behind. It was a classic human tactic called a pincer movement. The Korthok took the bait. They focused their fire on the Retribution, trying to destroy the lead human ship. Rodriguez used the ship's speed and maneuverability to stay ahead of their weapons while returning fire at their weaker vessels. Enemy ships are bunching up, Cooper reported. They are trying to concentrate their firepower. Perfect, Rodriguez said. Signal Captain Stone and Captain Foster. Execute pincer attack now. The Vengeance and Salvation swept in from both sides of the Korthok formation. The enemy ships were caught completely off guard. They had been so focused on the Retribution that they had not noticed the other human ships moving into position. Human weapons fire came from 3 directions at once. The Korthok ships were designed to fight enemies that came straight at them. They could not handle attacks from multiple angles. Their heavy armor was useless when the humans hit them from the sides and rear in the first 10 minutes of the battle. The humans destroyed 8 Korthok ships. The rest of the enemy fleet tried to break formation and scatter, but it was too late. The human ships moved too fast and hit too hard. Warmaster Thek's flagship, a massive vessel twice the size of any human ship, tried to ram the Retribution. Rodriguez saw the attack coming and ordered full evasive maneuvers. Human ship spun away from the collision course and fired a full salvo into the enemy flagship's engines. The Korthok ship lost power and began to drift. Thek sent one final message before his ship exploded. Impossible. We're the masters of this galaxy. We do not lose to inferior species. Rodriguez watched the enemy flagship break apart and burn. Around him, the last few Korthok ships were being hunted down by the Vengeance and Salvation. In less than an hour, the entire enemy fleet had been destroyed. Casualty report, Rodriguez ordered. Minor damage to the Salvation shields, Cooper reported. No injuries, no major systems damaged. 23 Korthok ships destroyed, 3 human ships still fully operational. The hunters had become the hunted. Rodriguez opened a channel to all surviving Valthani ships. This is Captain Rodriguez. The Korthok patrol fleet has been eliminated. You are safe to come out of hiding. The response came quickly, filled with musical tones of joy and relief. Captain Rodriguez, this is Kilove. We saw the battle. Cannot believe what we witnessed. You destroyed them all. That was just the beginning, Rodriguez said. Now we go after their main base and free your people. The 3 processing stations hung in space like metal tumors around the third planet. Each station was the size of a small city, filled with cages and torture devices. Captain Rodriguez studied the scanner readings from the bridge of the Retribution. Thousands of Valthani prisoners were trapped inside those stations. We need to get our people inside, Rodriguez told Colonel Danny Wright. Those stations have heavy defenses, but they are not built to stop boarding parties. Wright nodded. He was a tall man with scars on his hands from 20 years of combat training. His Marines were the best soldiers Earth had ever produced. Had trained for every kind of battle, including fighting inside enemy ships. My teams are ready, Captain. But we need to move fast. Intelligence reports show the Korthok are planning to kill all prisoners if they cannot win the battle. Lieutenant Commander Kelly Barnes stepped forward. She was small and quiet, but she had led more dangerous missions than anyone else in the fleet. Her specialty was getting into places where enemies did not expect humans to go. I can take a stealth team to the main processing station, Barnes said. We disable their security systems and free as many prisoners as possible. Is in chaos, the Marines can board and finish the job. Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. The processing stations were defended by automated gun turrets and force shields, but they were not designed to fight military forces. Had built them to keep weak prisoners inside, not to keep strong attackers outside. Do it, Rodriguez ordered. But remember, we are not just fighting for military victory. We are fighting to save lives. Barnes selected her team carefully. Sergeant Bobby Martinez was an expert at disabling alien technology. Corporal Lisa Johnson was the best fighter in the unit. Private Tom Davis knew how to move through tight spaces without making noise. Together, they could get inside the station and cause maximum damage. The stealth shuttle launched from the Retribution's cargo bay. It was painted black and designed to be invisible to most sensors. Barnes piloted the craft toward the largest processing station while the main fleet prepared for the final assault. Inside the station, the situation was worse than anyone had imagined. The Korthok had divided the prisoners into different sections. Some Valthani were being fitted with control implants that would turn them into mindless slaves. Others were being used for medical experiments. The youngest prisoners were kept in separate areas, being prepared for sale to other worlds. Barnes and her team entered through a waste disposal port. The smell inside the station was terrible. It was a mixture of fear, pain, and death. But the human soldiers had trained for this. They moved through the dark corridors like ghosts. Target the main computer core first, Barnes whispered into her radio. Martinez, can you hack their systems? Martinez plugged his portable computer into a data port. His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard as he broke through the Korthok security programs. Give me 2 minutes, Commander. Their encryption is strong, but not impossible. The Korthok had made one critical error. They had designed their security to keep prisoners in, not to keep enemies out. Their cameras watched the prison cells, but not the maintenance tunnels. Their guards were trained to stop escape attempts. Not military infiltration. I'm in, Martinez reported. I can open all cell doors simultaneously. I can also disable their communication systems and weapon turrets. Wait for my signal, Barnes said. Johnson, Davis, we need to reach the command center first. The three soldiers moved deeper into the station. They passed cell after cell filled with Valthani prisoners. The aliens looked up with large, frightened eyes as the humans crept past. Some of the prisoners had already been fitted with control implants. Their eyes were empty and lifeless. Johnson had to stop twice to control her anger. She had never seen such cruelty. The Korthok were not just slavers. They were monsters who enjoyed causing pain. The command center was at the heart of the station. 5 Korthok guards sat at control panels, watching screens that showed different prison sections. They were laughing at something they saw on one of the monitors. Barnes made hand signals to her team. Johnson would take the 2 guards on the left. Davis would handle the one on the right. Barnes and Martinez would deal with the remaining 2 guards. The attack lasted 15 seconds. Human soldiers moved with deadly precision. The Korthok guards never had a chance to raise an alarm. They had been watching helpless prisoners for so long that they had forgotten how to fight real enemies. Martinez, do it now, Barnes ordered. Martinez activated his computer program. Throughout the station, thousands of cell doors opened at once. Emergency lights began flashing. The communication system went dead. The weapon turrets stopped working. The Valthani prisoners poured out of their cells. They were weak and scared, but they were free. Some of them had never seen the corridors. Outside their cells, they moved in groups, staying close together, making musical sounds of joy and fear. Barnes spoke into her radio. Colonel Wright, the station is in chaos. Begin boarding operations now, Wright's Marines launched from all 3 human ships. Assault shuttles punched through the station's outer hull like bullets through paper. The Korthok had built the station to be a prison, not a fortress. Its defenses were useless against determined attackers. The Marines fought their way through the station corridors. Some Korthok guards tried to resist, but they were used to controlling unarmed prisoners. Against trained human soldiers with military weapons, they stood no chance. The battle inside the station was short and brutal. The Korthok had shown no mercy to their prisoners. The humans showed no mercy to the Korthok. Within 2 hours, all 3 processing stations were under human control. The rescued Valthani were taken to safe areas where human medics could treat their injuries. Many of the aliens were in terrible condition, but they were alive and free. Dr. Helen Martinez, who had come with the fleet as a translator, worked with the rescued prisoners. She learned that the Korthok had been planning something even worse. They were preparing to use the Valthani as soldiers in their next conquest. The control implants would turn the peaceful aliens into weapons against their own kind. We stopped them just in time, Martinez reported to Captain Rodriguez. Another week and thousands of Valthani would have been turned into slave soldiers. Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. The processing stations were secure, but the Korthok still had one more surprise waiting. Long-range sensors detected a massive ship approaching the system. It was bigger than anything the humans had seen before. Captain, that is the Korthok Command Dreadnought, reported Communications Officer Lisa Park. It carries over 10,000 soldiers and enough firepower to destroy planets. The ship was commanded by Supreme War Master Krell, the leader of the entire Korthok invasion force. He had been away conquering another system when the humans arrived. Now he was returning to find his fleet destroyed and his prisoners freed. Krell's message came through on all frequencies. His voice was filled with rage and hatred. Deathworld vermin, you have interfered with Korthok business for the last time. I will personally oversee your torture. Your deaths will be broadcast across the galaxy as a warning to others who dare oppose us. Rodriguez studied the size of the approaching ship. It was 5 times larger than the Retribution. It carried enough weapons to destroy all 3 human ships. But size was not everything. Humans had already proven that superior tactics could overcome superior numbers. All ships, prepare for final battle, Rodriguez announced. We came. Here to save the innocent. We'll not leave until the job is finished. The Korthok Command Dreadnought emerged from quantum space like a metal mountain. Supreme War Master Krell's flagship was over 3 kilometers long and carried weapons that could crack planets. Its dark hull was covered with the symbols of conquered worlds. 20 smaller escort ships flanked it on both sides. Captain Rodriguez watched the massive ship approach on his main screen. The Retribution, Vengeance, and Salvation looked like insects compared to the enemy dreadnought. But Rodriguez had learned something important during his years of command. In space combat, the biggest ship did not always win. All ships maintain formation, Rodriguez ordered. We stick to the plan. Speed and precision will beat raw power, the rescued Valthani had. Then moved to the safest parts of the human ships. Elder musician Zelica, the leader of the survivors, stood beside Rodriguez on the bridge. She was tall and graceful, with 4 arms and skin that looked like polished crystal. Her voice sounded like wind chimes when she spoke. Captain Rodriguez, that ship has destroyed entire star systems. Krell himself has killed millions of beings across the galaxy. Are you certain your 3 ships can defeat him? Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. The numbers were not encouraging. The Dreadnought had 50 times more firepower than all 3 human ships combined. Its armor was thick enough to stop most weapons. Its escort ships alone outnumbered the human fleet. Elder Zelica, humans have faced impossible odds before. We have learned that victory does not always go to the strongest. Sometimes it goes to the smartest. Krell's voice boomed across all frequencies. Deathworld insects, you have destroyed my fleet and stolen my property. For this insult, you will die slowly. I will keep your crews alive for months while I experiment. On them, Rodriguez picked up his communication device. War Master Krell, this is Captain Rodriguez. Your fleet attacked innocent beings who never harmed anyone. Your people turned peaceful traders into slaves. Today that ends. Krell laughed. A sound like breaking glass. Command 3 tiny ships against my dreadnought. You are either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both, Rodriguez replied. But we are here, and we are not leaving. The battle began with Krell's escort ships moving to surround the human fleet. It was the same tactic the Korthok had used before. But Rodriguez had expected this. He ordered his ships to accelerate directly toward the dreadnought, passing between the escort ships before they could close the trap. All ships, target the dreadnought's weapon systems, Rodriguez commanded. We cannot destroy that ship with direct fire, but we can cut off its claws. The 3 human ships moved like a pack of wolves attacking a giant bear. They were too small and too fast for the dreadnought's main guns to target effectively. Massive ship had been designed to fight other large vessels, not small, quick attackers. The Retribution swept along the dreadnought's port side, firing precise bursts at weapon turrets and sensor arrays. The Vengeance attacked from above, targeting the ship's communication systems. The Salvation hit the starboard weapons, disabling gun after gun with surgical strikes. Krell's ship fought back with everything it had. Massive energy beams swept through space, trying to catch the human ships. But Rodriguez and his captains flew their vessels like fighter pilots, never staying in one place long enough to be hit. Enemy escorts are closing in, reported tactical analyst Ryan Cooper. 20 ships coming from all directions. Split formation, Rodriguez ordered. Each ship takes a section of escorts. Remember hit-and-run tactics? Do not let them corner. The space battle became a deadly dance. The human ships moved between the larger Korthok vessels, striking and retreating before the enemy could respond. The Korthok ships were built for intimidation and brute force. They could not match the speed and agility of ships, designed by a species that had spent centuries perfecting warfare. One by one, the escort ships fell to human weapons. Captain Jennifer Stone of the Vengeance destroyed 3 enemy ships in 5 minutes. Captain Mike Foster of the Salvation crippled for more with precise hits to their engines. The Korthok had never faced enemies who fought like this, but the dreadnought was still dangerous. Even with many of its weapons disabled, it carried enough firepower to destroy any human ship that came too close. Krell was learning to adapt to human tactics. He began using the ship's smaller weapons, trying to create walls of energy that would trap the human vessels. "Captain, we need to end this quickly," Colonel Wright reported from the marine deck. "Our ships are taking damage. Cannot keep this up forever." Rodriguez studied the tactical display. The dreadnought's main weakness was its size. The massive ship was too big to maneuver quickly. If the human ships could get inside its defensive perimeter, they might be able to hit critical systems. "All ships, prepare for final assault," Rodriguez announced. "We are going to ram our way into the dreadnought's hangar bay." It was a desperate plan. The human ships would have to fly directly into the enemy's heaviest defenses, but it was their only chance to get close enough to cause real damage. The three human ships formed up and accelerated toward the dreadnought's central hangar. Krell threw everything he had at them. Energy beams, missile salvos, and particle cannons filled the space between the ships. The Salvation took a direct hit and lost half its shields. The Vengeance's port engine was damaged. The Retribution's hull was scorched by near misses, but the human ships kept coming. At the last second, they split apart and dove through the dreadnought's hangar opening. They were inside the enemy ship before Krell could stop them. The hangar bay erupted in explosions. As the human ships fired everything they had at the dreadnought's internal systems, power conduits, fuel lines, and ammunition storage areas went up in chains of destruction. The massive ship shuddered as its own weapons turned against it. Krell's voice came over the radio, no longer confident. "Impossible. No one can defeat the Korthok Empire. We are the masters of this galaxy." "Not anymore," Rodriguez replied. He ordered one final salvo at the dreadnought's main reactor. The explosion lit up the entire system like a new star. When the light faded, the Korthok command ship was breaking apart. Debris scattered across space as the massive vessel died. Supreme War Master Krell and his crew of 10,000 went down. With their ship, the remaining Korthok escort ships tried to escape, but they were too damaged and too slow. The human ships hunted them down one by one until the system was clear of enemies. "Elder." Zelika looked at Rodriguez with wonder in her large eyes. "Captain, you have freed not just my people, but every species in this region of space." The Korthok Empire spread fear across dozens of worlds. Now that fear is gone. Rodriguez nodded, but he was already thinking about the future. "Elder, this is just the beginning. There are other empires out there, other species that prey on the weak. Earth will not stand by and watch innocents suffer." Dr. Helen Martinez approached with a datapad in her hands. "Captain, I have been monitoring galactic communication channels. Word of this battle is spreading fast. We are receiving distress signals from at least 6 other star systems. Other peaceful species are asking for human help." Rodriguez looked out at the stars, through the bridge window. Somewhere out there, other bullies were threatening innocent beings. Other slave traders were destroying lives. But now they would face the humans. The people of Earth had left their home world as protectors. They would return as the galaxy's guardians. "Set course for home," Rodriguez ordered. "We need to report to Admiral Kane and President Clark. Earth is going to need more ships." The 3 human vessels turned toward home, carrying their rescued passengers and the promise of a safer galaxy. Behind them, the wreckage of the Korthok fleet drifted in space as a warning to anyone who would harm the innocent. The Deathworld predators had arrived among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same.